Hello, welcome to the Trophy Trust, your weekly podcast for PlayStation Trophy Hunters. Episode number 33. I'm one of your hosts, the Dazil. Joining me this evening, we have Electronic
Hello.
and Punish.
Hey guys.
Good evening, gentlemen. It's the three of us again. It's been another week. And let's have a little chat, shall we, about what we've been playing. I'll tell you what, Vic, why don't you start us off? Tell us what you've been playing recently.
I haven't played much since the last episode, but for the few things I have been doing is basically cleaning up Lollipop Chainsaw with the score attack mode, which is basically a retread of the whole game again, but only keeping tracks of the scores as you obtain them in order to unlock the chapter-specific trophies along the way, which would be like different scores and leaderboards and all that stuff, which you have to upload in order to get some of the trophies, but after which the whole game is just basically just a 100% completion and done, and I should be gonzo for that, so...
Score attack modes I bundle in along with like time trial trophies. They're like ones that stress me out, to be honest, so I try to avoid games with it in it. I think the only one, like, I'll give you an example. I would have played what was it, Rise of the Tomb Raider? That's the second one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would have played that one unless if it didn't have like some time attack mode in it. I read that there's some time attacks stuff you have to do and cards you have to collect, and me just reading that in the guide just put me right off. So I don't want to do that, because I know how annoying they can be. You know, you can just fall a few points short of reaching your target and then have to do the whole level again. It's just stressful. I find stressful trophies really like bring the worst out in me in regards to being a gamer. I think I'm pretty patient with gaming, but I think those things particularly get to me. I don't know about you, though.
Yeah. For me, the score attack, at least in this game, is very like tied to the actual like the difficulty. So it's mostly just each one is much easier than the other, so you don't actually have to like play the actual mission completely all over again. So you just have to like get the score you need, beat the level, and that's it. And you just get like a pop-up trophy, and that's it. That's fairly interesting. So besides that, I think I had more time on hand and time, and fairly good platformer. I'm almost done with it. I just had some cleanups to do, so I think it's very like one of the better games from 2017. I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's a collectathon or loves the genre itself. So yeah, I think it's a fairly interesting game that everybody should play. So I actually recommended it to you last time.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of it. I'll have a look at it at one point. I have seen some pictures of it. We spoke about it actually on a previous episode.
Yeah.
And I did look at some pictures. Maybe if it's in a sale, I'd probably grab it. I'll definitely keep an eye out for it, for sure. Punish, why don't you tell us what you've been up to this week?
I've just been mainly focusing on Final Fantasy X. I'm in the really grindy part of the game right now. I have to unlock all the grid squares for all the characters, and also while I'm doing this, I got to play a bunch of games of Blitzball. So it's really, really repetitive, really grindy, which is, of course, known for all Final Fantasy games. But I'm enjoying it. You know, I love the story, I love the gameplay in it. The music is especially well, which helps me go through all the grindy parts. But other than that, I haven't been really playing anything else besides that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I guess it's going to keep you well occupied then, with the particular grindy nature of those games. So
yeah, I probably got about 30 to 40 more hours before I get the platinum.
Okay, all right, cool. Well, best of luck with that for sure. Okay, well, I guess that leaves me then for what I've been playing recently. Well, as of today, recording this, I actually platinumed Far Cry 5 this morning. Got that done and dusted. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
It's been, I think I bought it on a Tuesday gone, the Tuesday before it. So it's been just over 2 weeks of me playing it, kind of not really like hardcore, kind of casual, a few hours each day. I forgot to check my Ubisoft stats actually after I platinumed it. I was going to, but if I had to estimate, definitely under 30 hours, probably between the 25 to 28, I think is how I did it all. As I spoke about last week, the main problem was just the online trophy, the one for playing 10 matches within.
Yeah.
Sorry, winning 10 matches within the featured maps. And if you've, part of our server and you've been in the boosting thread for Far Cry this last 2 weeks, you'll see basically everyone that comes in there is complaining about this trophy because it's random. It is completely random. I don't really want to go into it too much again this time because I did it last episode. But other than that, the game is pretty easy to platinum. It's like 3 out of 10 maybe. Some frustrating missions here or there, but you can just dial it down to easy. You might have to grind for a bit of cash like I did because you have to spend $50,000 on vehicles.
Whoa.
But it's not that bad if you just are conservative with buying like weapons that you don't need. So only weapons you need, weapons you don't need, because you can pick loads of stuff up in the game. You find like RPGs laying around and such. And actually, I found out that if you find a weapon that you don't own, such as an RPG, for example, if you take it to the store, if you have it equipped when you take it to the store, it's like unlocked. You don't have to buy it; it just unlocks it.
Oh,
so
that's neat.
Yeah, it's a good way. It's a good way to save money by basically looting weapons off of dead enemies and then going to the store with them. Just have them in your weapon wheel and it'll save you a bit of money there. But you have to spend 50 grand on vehicles, but it's really not that bad. If you need to grind money out, I just went up into the sort of hills, the sort of mountainous areas, and just hunted loads of bison, and then within that area that also attracts like cougars and bears as well. So you sell the skins at the store. You just like a sell all button, and you can get quite a bit of money for that. I recommend it. It doesn't go too far out of its way of being like original in terms of like Far Cry. It just feels like Far Cry 4 kind of. That's not me sort of being like overly critical. That's the only way I can really describe it. It's like Far Cry 4, basically the same kind of stuff, minus the little helicopter that you could fly in Far Cry 4. You still got the wingsuit, parachute, grappling hook. The same old stuff. You can go in jeeps and vehicles and whatnot. But it's just a different setting. That's all really. The wildlife's very similar. Bears and stuff, and no tigers this time, but like cougars, mountain lions, what have you. That
turkeys.
Kind of stuff. Turkeys as well. Yeah, and the turkeys are pretty much like the what were those animals called in Far Cry 4 that were really hard? Honey badgers. That was it. Yeah, they're basically like the honey badgers of the game. But I did notice the patch notes that you showed me the other day on the server that they
nerfed the turkeys just as you were beating the game. I was like, that's fucking hilarious though.
Yeah, they had to like tone the power down on the turkeys because you could honestly empty a clip into them and they wouldn't go. So I uploaded a capture of me blowing loads of them up with a stick of dynamite because I was being chased by loads of turkeys. It's in a story mission where like the animals are going a bit crazy and I was being hunted down by loads of turkeys. I had to chuck dynamite to stop them. But overall I recommend the game. If you've played previous Far Cry games, this is more of the same, in a good way, in a bad way, however you want to take it really. But yeah, easy platinum, and it definitely felt like way shorter compared to previous Far Cry games in terms of getting the platinum overall. I mean, let's push the multiplayer trophies aside. You don't have to collect, like in previous Far Cry games, it was like collect half of the collectibles. That's not even the case this time. You just have to collect one of each type. There's like 6 types of collectibles. Just one of each is enough. There's no radio towers in the game, so you don't have to capture all the radio towers. There's no trophy for doing all the outposts anymore. You only have to unlock half of the perks, and that's it really. It's a really easy game in terms of trophies compared to previous ones. So give it a go. It's I recommend it as a trophy hunter and as a fan of the Far Cry games. I'm not interested in any of the DLC. I rarely go for DLC anyway. I've had my fill.
Will you jumping back on the actual Far Cry 3 remastered?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Not when it comes out, but I will probably maybe good 6 months maybe down the line, or even longer than that. When I'm like good and ready for like some more Far Cry again, I'll be happy to play 3 again, because 3 was really good. I mean, it compared to 5, it's going to be a little bit more of a slog because you have to collect, like I said, half of all the collectibles in the game and capture all the outposts. So there's more to do in Far Cry 3 in terms of trophy list than there is in Far Cry 5. So it will be interesting to go back and make a comparison again. I'll be interested to share my thoughts on that in the future when it happens.
Cool.
Yeah, and the only other game I've played, I started today. I thought I'd break out the old PSVR. I like to bust it out every couple of months. You know,
Yeah.
I really do enjoy it. I'm an advocate of PSVR. I know it's a pricey thing to get invested in. I know they had a recent price cut, but it's still the basic kind of like price of a brand new console, and that's how they treat it. But yeah, I've had a little look through in the EU PSN. We've got like an Easter sale going on at the moment, and I noticed a game in there for quite cheap. It's a game called The Invisible Hours. It's a murder mystery game for PSVR. The basic gist is you don't play as the characters, you play as like an invisible observer, and there's like 7 people in a mansion. Someone's been murdered, and it's a murder mystery in every sort of sense of that genre. And everything plays out in sort of like real time, but you can control time itself, so you can pause, rewind, fast forward. So you can follow particular characters as they move around the house. So you can like follow one person and listen into all their conversations, then rewind time and go follow another person, and you know, things they do might be related to what the other person's talking about, and you kind of like slowly piece it together. I've only played a few hours of it today. I've just finished chapter 1. I've been doing a few collectibles on the side. I'm really liking it. I think it's really cool. I mean, like, everything plays out. It's an interactive kind of drama, so there's not really much for you to do in regards to like getting properly into gameplay. But the game has you kind of like linking the connections yourself as you play along. Certain revelations to certain things that characters do relate to. Sometimes you find like newspaper clippings and stuff around the house and diary entries, and kind of everything's related. You know, there's a reason why all these people were called to this house. It's a bit like that movie, that movie Clue with Tim Curry in it.
Yes, that had like multiple endings at the very end.
Yeah, like everyone's called to the house for a reason, because each person has a reason related to the person that called us. So it's basically like Clue or Cluedo if you live in the UK. It's basically like VR Cluedo. It's really cool. It's on sale at the moment. It was speaking EU prices, like £32 down to like 11. So I thought, I'll definitely give that a go. And it's well made. I use the PS Move controllers. You control time. You teleport around, kind of like Doom VFR. You kind of like hop around the house, and you can like turn your body with a face button, so you don't get motion sickness, which is cool. You know. So no, I didn't have any motion sickness so far. You hop around, so you don't glide, which is what causes the nausea. Can't really say much more about it at the moment. Not going to talk spoilers, of course, because I don't know any, because I've only really just started it. But it seems to be a really easy platinum going off the trophy list. It's basically like get the collectibles, finish the story, find out like the motive, follow everyone around, and see everyone's sort of like conversation. So yeah, I'll probably have the platinum of that in a few days' time. I'm really liking it, so I'll talk more.
So
I'll give my final impression.
So the game is called like The Invisible Hours, right?
The Invisible Hours, yeah. I'm not sure whether it was out on another platform first, because I've not heard of this game prior to today until I searched it.
The Invisible Hours. Let me see if I can actually find like anything besides that. But
I don't know if it was on PC first or anything. It could have been a game that was made first and then made then ported over to PSVR.
It was on Steam on October 10th, 2017. I'm looking for release dates on the PSVR. So
I think it's pretty recent for PSVR, at least within the last couple of months, because I'm sure I saw it in the PSVR section about a month or two ago.
I like the noir type style. It looks very pretty. It's like the characters are fully detailed, and they have like very I'm just looking now at the screenshots. Oh, okay. That's very different from what I expected from the actual like art. So
yeah, it's kind of cartoony. They're kind of like caricatures. They're not like, they don't look like photorealistic humans. They're kind of like a little bit kind of reminds me of like the visual style of like, say, like BioShock Infinite, where people don't look like proper humans. They've got a kind of like cartoony kind of like facial features a little bit, you know, or I know another game. What's it called? We Happy Few. That's got like a kind of cartoony kind of like look to it as well, where people don't look like real humans, so to speak. But I'll give my proper impressions when I finish it. But I'm enjoying it so far, and I've only played about 2 hours of it.
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
Yeah, any opportunity to break out PSVR, because I really do love playing PSVR. So let's move on to the news then, shall we? Now that we've got through everything we've been playing so far this week. Vec, you want to lead us with the news?
Okay, so let's start with the big one that released this week. So we alluded this for a while now. So we started for rumors, then it went to some screenshots, and now we have an actual release date and everything. So Spyro, the Reignited trilogy, is coming out on September 21st. Um, as expected, it has all three PS1 original titles. So you can play Spyro 1, Spyro 2, Spyro 3 from each one. And it's now completely remastered from the ground up, and it looks beautiful. As we have some stuff we have to think about, so you want to lead up to this? Any of you guys?
Punish. What's your history with Spyro?
I was a huge Spyro fan. I owned all the originals on PS1, so I'm definitely looking forward to getting this when it first comes out. It'll definitely be a day one purchase for me.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So, yeah.
I'm actually the opposite. I've never really had any interest in Spyro growing up. I played a demo once. Never really on my radar. I grew up with playing Crash Bandicoot as my sort of cartoony platformer game, and I lost my mind playing like Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy. I mean, in a good way and in a bad way with them time trials, but in a good way because I love those games. But I will definitely give Spyro a go for sure. They're from that era. They're from the very same era. So, and the remake looks fantastic. I mean, in the official trailer, they have a side-by-side comparison, don't they? Like kind of like a swipe where it shows the original game, then it swipes across into the remasters. It's called the Reignited trilogy, isn't it?
Yes.
Because there was a rumor going around for ages it was going to be called the Treasure trilogy, but rumors were brewing for at least a month and a half now since the initial rumors came out. But yeah, this looks good. This definitely looks good. I don't know whether I'll get it day one. As I said, it doesn't have such a nostalgic impact for me as it does other people. That was Crash Bandicoot for me. But yeah, I'll say I'm interested. I'll definitely give them a try. How about you, Vic?
For me at least, the only Spyro game was, and it was negatively impacted upon, was the actual Enter the Dragonfly, which was the actual PS2 game that was not made by Insomniac at any way. So, looking at this, this breaks me go back to the PS1 classics without actually going through the actual PS1 classics. It would be actually interesting to give a full opinion on these because it's one of those games that I would actually go out of my way and buy, just because I would love to see what people's nostalgia was and to see oh, this is kind of cool actually, and see a proper Spyro 4 maybe. Because people like saying that Enter Dragonfly and everything afterwards was not Spyro.
If it's gonna go like Crash, with the success, with the almost runaway success of the Insane trilogy just on PS4 alone, and now it's coming to Xbox and Switch and whatnot. And there's definitely going to be, this is a revival for Crash Bandicoot at least, so there's probably going to be more Crash Bandicoot games coming in future. So if Spyro performs the same way, which I'm sure it will, because nostalgia sells and everyone, it's all near and dear to people, you could see future games for Spyro. But I'm just curious about what the trophy is going to be like. Are we going to have Crash Bandicoot style time trials, or I can imagine it's going to require you to collect everything in those games. But
definitely all the gems, all the actual powers, collect all the dragons, defeat all the bosses, all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
I'd be curious to see how in depth it goes. I mean, like I've said, I hate time trials, and Crash Bandicoot time trials, I think the only reason I stuck with those is because I knew those games already. But going into Spyro, this is going to be new for me, so I'm not sure. I'll just wait and see.
Okay, so other things was in the Spyro stuff, it was confirmed. We were debating on this on episodes past, but we were debating about the actual demo code, the Easter egg that was found in Crash 3 when you input the Spyro cheat code. Now, there's going to be a patch on that game that allows you to play the demo of the original Spyro in the HD form. So, keep on the lookout. If you have a copy of the original Insane Trilogy, you can download the update when it comes out. There's no announcement on no news on the release date as of yet, but it has been confirmed that the actual patch notes will be including a demo for that game. So it goes full circle afterwards. So it's actually pretty interesting. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So the other news we have this week. So we got a new release date for Spider-Man. So if you haven't followed the news, Insomniac is going to kick ass again with Marvel's Spider-Man, which will be released on September 7th, 2018.
Isn't that interesting that Insomniac are putting out a brand new game in September, and their old games are getting remastered and re-released in September as well? Interesting, huh?
I find it poetic.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So you can basically play the story, I think it's like the midway story of Spider-Man, where you play as, of course, Peter Parker as Spider-Man, defeating colorful villains of the Marvel lineup. So
yeah, but it's not like origin stories. This is like a good few years confident Peter Parker.
I'm glad they're not doing another origin story. I'm not gonna beat up again on the hammer so many times about the actual origin story, because we already know this.
Yeah, we've had so many. I mean, it's been done to death in the movies. We don't need it in the games as well. We know the origin story. It's fine. So just going straight into like Peter Parker, he's prime as Spider-Man. He's confident. He's cocky. He's got that kind of that wit that he always has when he's like fighting enemies. The sarcasm, the sort of like the running commentary that he does. That'll be awesome. And that's definitely day one. If my backlog allows, like at the time, I can't promise, but I'll definitely be getting that pretty much around launch for sure, because that game looks... I mean, just watching the trailer, they had, was it Game Informer that had the exclusive like trailer reveal?
Yeah,
I watched the trailer, I'm like, how is this a game? Like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't look like a game. It doesn't look like something that's being rendered. It looks like an animated movie. Like, we're at that point now in games where they look so good. It's like that Pixar kind of like quality that people expected from games years ago to be like now. Like, we're in that future now.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Like, I'm not sure how much you watch of the actual thing, but one of my favorite things was like the way they implemented the actual like the traveling system. You go inside a subway and you see a cutscene of Spider-Man like holding an iPhone on the subway, and everyone inside of it. I'm like fucking laughing my ass off. Like, this is so fucking clever. Like, and nobody goes and bothers up to go on top and take Spider-Man's like mask off. Like, it's so nonchalant and very cool. So I'm excited to see how this is gonna fare.
What about you, Punish?
I'm really excited for the game. I think that the trailer that they released, it looks beautiful. I think the gameplay looks amazing. The fight system looks amazing. I'm really happy with what they're doing with the storyline. I mean, it's nice. It's not going to be an origin story because, like you guys said, it's been beaten to half to death. But and then also, it's also Sony exclusive. It's only going to be out on the PS4. So this is definitely.
This is a system seller, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a system seller because, I mean, this is one, like, once the announcement was made, once the official release date was made, Twitter and a bunch of the forums blew up with all the PlayStation fanboys and the Xbox fanboys going at it again.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do you complain? Like, if you want to play the freaking game, just go out and buy the system. Like, seriously, it's...
that's like a few months ago when they like announced that Bayonetta 3 was going to be Switch exclusive, and now that people are treating Bayonetta as sort of like a Nintendo IP, and people are getting like all like salty over that online. But firstly, just like a real quick tangent. Firstly, it's business. Okay, the video game industry is a business. This is where this is the exchanging of money and contracts and all of that. Yeah. And secondly, like, you've got two choices, and I've said this before in previous episodes. You either see, there's no point in whining on Twitter and getting aggressive towards developers for business decisions. So you've got two choices. You either buy the console it's on or go without. That's it. You moaning online on social media is literally going to do nothing but make you look like an asshole. So
exactly.
That's
exactly.
it.
No, I completely agree with you. And the one thing that really pisses me off is the people that they list off specs or they list off exclusive games on their exclusive, like on their fanboy console or whatever it is, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Let people play what they enjoy and move on. Just carry on. That's all it is. If you really want the freaking game, go out, buy the system, or just don't. Leave people be. Don't be insulting. Don't be aggressive. Don't threaten.
Exactly. I agree.
Number one rule: just don't be a dick.
yeah, don't be a dick, guys. So if you want to play Spider-Man, go out and buy a fucking PS4. If you don't, stop complaining about it and stick with your Xbox or your PC or whatever else you're playing.
Okay.
Well, just to finish off on the Spider-Man topic, there's just two things I want to sort of like just touch on. Number one, they had pre-order stuff, which is doesn't interest me. But what was interesting is its costume. So obviously you can. Yeah. This game is going to have a ton of costumes from Spider-Man's history. Now, where I've played Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2 on Vita and on the PS3 and I think on PS4 as well, you had loads of suits. You had like Spider Carnage. You had like there were some really cool ones. You've got like the Venom suit. You've got I forget it now, but the Future Spider-Man
2099.
one. Yeah, 2099. That's it. Loads of really cool variants. So I'm hoping. I mean, I've already seen Spider-Punk as one of the pre-orders for Spider-Man. Cool. But I cannot wait to unlock loads of custom suits in that game because there's nothing more awesome than unlocking that some really good. And if they're doing it right, I'm hoping because the Spider-Man movies belong to Sony. They're Sony Pictures. It's all part of the umbrella under the umbrella. So I'm hoping we get some like movie costumes in there, particularly the
Iron Man.
Iron Spider.
Yes.
Homecoming. Would be awesome. Homecoming, where it's his own homemade costume, with like the big bulky lenses and the sort of hoodie. Some of those would be really cool things to have in that game, but we'll see, fingers crossed. And secondly, because I said this is probably going to be one of those like system seller ones, one of the big ones where they put a special edition console out. Please do not fuck this up. Special edition consoles in the last few years look terrible.
Horrible.
Really bad. Like, this is my personal opinion, okay? But the God of War one looks awful. That's me. I just think it looks awful. Okay, I understand they're going for the kind of room thing that's on like Kratos' axe and all that, but it looks crap. Okay, and we've had really bad ones before that, like the Call of Duty World War II one was like a camo one that was hideous. So the Spider-Man one, come on, it's going to be easy. Just the Spider-Man logo pattern, just like on the top, but with the legs coming sort of like down the front of the console. Just do something like that. But they're probably gonna fuck it up. They always do. It just always looks like trash all the time. The only decent special editions that ever have come out that I like are like the Destiny 2 white console, the Metal Gear Solid 5 one that came out, sort of red with the gold line. The Uncharted one, it was like a kind of very dark grey blue with Sig Magnus Par. Oh, sorry, you know what? So it's ring.
Magna.
Yeah, that's it. Along the front, that looked pretty cool. But yeah, they've got a good opportunity here to make a really decent looking Spider-Man console. But which is funny, really, actually thinking about it, because the original PS3 used the Spider-Man font for PlayStation 3. So full circle again. Sorry, you were saying Punish?
No, I think they put out a rendered PS5 a DualShock controller for the Spider-Man also.
Well, let me
it looks pretty awesome. Like the Spider-Man, like instead of the PS button, it actually has a little spider on it, and then the rest of it is obviously the spider suit.
Okay. So literally, looking at, I'm just gonna find it. Is it this one? It's like a spider. No, wait, this is a Spider-Man themed. I'm looking for the actual like controller itself.
I don't remember where I saw it from. I know I pulled it up off like an article on Twitter. And it was like a rendering. They're like, this hasn't been officially released yet, but this is like a mock-up of what's supposed to be coming out.
Okay. So I'm gonna give my sense here. I feel like this is gonna be a great game. One of the things I was very excited is like, they confirmed there will be no microtransactions, and they also confirmed that the actual pre-order costumes will be unlockable in game. That makes me so fucking happy, because Insomniac has been to have a bad rep with some of the pre-order bonuses lately, especially with Ratchet and Clank, because in the PS4 release of Ratchet and Clank, the film game, that has a pre-order bonus that was a weapon that could not be unlocked inside the actual game. It was called the Bouncer, and you had to get like the actual like game at release in order to actually get that code in order to unlock it. Otherwise, there will be one empty slot in your actual weapon wheel, and really, it's kind of bumming me out, but I'm glad they're actually moving away from that and actually having it so that you can the pre-order bonuses are mostly a boosting up in the actual game, like, oh, you can unlock these earlier, but there's more costumes down the line they can actually unlock and have those still unlocked.
It would be cool if the costumes provide perks, that they're not just like cosmetic, because like in, for example, Horizon Zero Dawn, Aloy and her different armors and costumes gave her slightly different abilities or boost, buffs and perks and whatnot, just little bits here and there. It would be cool if like certain Spider-Man suits gave you an edge or something. But I don't obviously know how any of the systems work in Spider-Man, whether you can even upgrade him or do anything of that nature. But it would be nice if they were just more than something to look at.
Let me see. I've also seen like something else regarding the pre-order bonus, but regarding a gadget. Let me see. I think it was like a spider gadget. Let me see. It's like a micro. Let me see. It's right here. The spider drone gadget, which is like a small little spider thing that actually unlocks into other people's, which has been seen multiple times in the comics, but I don't see anything about. Someone was commenting right now. Story missions. There's no unlockable mission with the actual pre-order, so that's actually another thing that should be interesting. Yeah.
Well, I think what we can just take away from this segment about Spider-Man is we're all hyped for it, and there seems to be a lot of positivity online about it, from different pundits and just general people on Twitter as well, on my feed, on just seems to be a lot of positivity behind it. I mean, it's by Insomniac, so they've got very, very high standards in regards to how they make their games. They polish their games to a mirror sheen, metaphorically speaking. Very high hopes.
This is going to be a very great year for Spider-Man fans, as not only that is getting released, but also the multiple movies. I think there was so I mentioned the Tom Hardy Venom movie and the actual Spider-Man film with the, I think it was like web of like the Spideyverse. Like, that's gonna be super interesting, and yeah, I think that's gonna be hyping a lot of promotion with Spider-Man. So
2018, Year of the Spider.
Year of the Spider. Oh, that's a good title.
All right. Okay. So moving on then from Spider-Man, we got another news story.
Yeah, we got more. The other one is that there's gonna be some server decommissioning on PS3, and PS4 as well, which is very interesting. Seeing as the servers will be the servers will be decommissioned. So, Little Big Planet Karting, which was the PS3 Little Big Planet racing game, is gonna have its online servers no longer be available on the July 2nd, 2018, but you'll be able to create.
Will that make the platinum unobtainable?
Yes.
Yes. Yep. Okay.
Yep. So you cannot get the platinum after July 2nd. Because there's so many, there's like a chunk of the trophies are mostly trophies related to the actual online. For example, having 3 people inside the pod at the same time. Although you can actually unlock it fairly easy with the actual controllers, but even still, if you're just one person, you might want to have it online features to actually go online and get that. The other one is have beat a player 15 times in first place, playing 100 community levels, and so on and so forth.
I wonder how active that community is like right now, because that game kind of like I don't know if I wouldn't say like it flopped, but it certainly wasn't around for long, like in the public eye. It just came and went. It just felt like a kind of like a F, like throwing it at the wall and seeing if it kind of sticks, kind of, type of, like, like when you get a game franchise, then it's like slightly out of like what the main franchise is, like kind of like Crash Team Racing is to Crash, or like Jack Racer is to Jack, and it's like kart racing is to Little Big Planet. Sort of throw it at the wall. If it sticks, great. If it doesn't, meh, whatever. So yeah, I did try it. I did remember like giving it a go. I can't remember if it was on PlayStation Plus or I got it for cheap or
PS Plus.
Something.
It was on PS Plus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's because I definitely didn't buy it. I'm pretty sure I didn't. So yeah, I tried it and I'm like, this really isn't for me. And I like karting games. I like Crash Team Racing and Mario Kart, but yeah, it just didn't feel like fleshed out enough. It felt kind of shallow, and like I didn't really get the controls didn't feel great, so I just got rid of it. But yeah,
I am going to actually help out with the actual boosting of that game until like June, July, until like June, July. So if anyone needs help with the actual like Little Big Planet karting, I'll be of service, and it will be happening in the server as well. So if people need help with that, I'm free to do so. I'm gonna be installing the game not right after, but after the weekend off this podcast. So by the time of this recording is out, there should be available for people to join in on the server and help with the actual karting, because it's going to be
there will also be a thread, won't there? You will open your own channel on the server for people to come in and boost if they're interested in getting the Little Big Planet karting platinum before the servers go down. So that's pretty cool. Yeah,
and the other server game that's going to be having the decommissioning will be Counter Spy. Now, this game, I actually pre-ordered this game, and it's fairly fun. It's basically a 2D stealth game. So the servers will be gone on June 1st, and this will render the 100% completely unobtainable, because the 100% requires using a score and uploading it to the online in order to get the International Nemesis trophy, which is basically like you have to play with another person and have that person invade you and kill you, or you kill them, and you obtain the trophy, and that's about it. It's fairly simple and easy, but the thing is, you have to play on the online, otherwise that 100% is gone. So that's about it with the actual like decommissioning. So, Punish, you want to give your 2 cents on this, or
everybody's this is one thing I just want to point out. I mean, the either one of the games, they don't hold any interest with me, but a lot of people are like panicking and they're getting really upset that the servers are closing. People need to understand that as we start moving further into higher generation consoles, that these servers are going to be shut down by companies, because a lot of these companies are keeping these servers up, and it's costing them money. And when you only have a few hundred people playing on these servers, they're not getting anything from it. So as we're moving towards these bigger, really big multiplayer games, like Fortnite and Call of Duty and things like that, they're going to do everything that they can to increase profit, which means that it's going to be, okay, we're releasing this game, so we're going to shut this one down. Now, from a trophy hunter standpoint, you want to definitely get that platinum, because obviously the rarity is going to be there with the server shutting down. But at the same time, don't get upset about it, because you've had all this time to get the platinum.
And the platinum seems like easy, like a month should take at least to get the platinum, because it's just gonna the most grindy aspect would be scheduling people to actually get like the 100 like the actual first place trophies, and that and the other one would be like the 100 community levels, which shouldn't be that hard. So
just generally speaking, I agree with Punish in regards to like the server shutdowns. I mean, servers can't be maintained forever. It is, as I spoke about a topic or two ago, it's a business. Video games are a business. Keeping servers open costs money, and if not enough people are playing on, or the game's been out for years and it's on a steady decline of community or activity on the servers, then yeah, it's got to go, because the servers are going to be used for something else. Or I can't say how I know how servers work or all of that in regards to like who gets what, and do companies rent out servers? You got like big server farms, and are they all like? I assume they're all like certain ones cut up into pieces for like certain businesses to rent out or whatnot. So, or they have their own ones and they want to use it for something else. This is just my very basic understanding, I think, of how it works. But you can't maintain it forever, and if there's no money in it, games are a business. If there's no money behind it, there's no point in keeping them open. So and these less popular games, such as like Little Big Planet karting, I'm honestly surprised they're still even open now. I'm surprised that wasn't shut down ages ago, to be honest. And I mean, the only sort of kind of like big one recently was like Dark Souls, but that's because
Demon Souls.
The remasters,
not Dark Souls.
Was it
Demon Souls.
Demon Souls isn't Dark Souls 1, like the very first one, going down?
No, the only one that got shut down recently was the actual Demon Souls servers. The Dark Souls 1 servers are still up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my mistake. I must have got those two mixed up.
Don't worry about it. So, let me see. Apparently someone was saying like it was going to be shut down last year, but the people spoke and it was delayed. Someone was also saying that the trophy for the international Nemesis would be just having it online. You don't need to boost it. And last but not least, apparently someone was saying that there's some additional bonus missions for the $150 version for the Spiderman one. Oh, that's kind of weird. Oh well, interesting updates. Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
All right, well, if that's the news section brought to a close, shall we move on to the next segment?
Yeah, sure. Which is the Tricky Trophy section.
Absolutely. So, Tricky Trophies is where we look back through our trophy collections at some of the most challenging, rating-using gameplay, or just plain boredom and grinding we've had to endure for a single trophy. And I tell you what, I will go first. And we're also going to read out a few of the user ones from the Discord server on this one, between our old ones, because... if you don't know, on our Discord server, we have a channel called Tricky Trophies, where people can submit their own anecdotes for their own tricky trophies, and we will read them out on the show. Mm-hmm. So first of all, I will provide my one. This is from Killing Floor 2, a game that was out last year on PlayStation Plus that quite a few of us got behind on the server and did some grinding for. The trophy is Mr. Perky 25. Reach level 25 on any perk. Now, this is a grindy, tricky trophy. Mm-hmm. Not particularly difficult, but it was a grind. It took me the best part of a week to basically level up to level 25. Now, luckily, during this time, myself and loads of other people found a exploit in the game where you can kind of sit in a corner and the enemies can't touch you. All the enemies come running towards you, but they cannot touch you. You're basically sort of in the wall. You've kind of like clipped into the wall, so they're slashing at you, but they can't reach you. And I just had to basically play a week of that game, just sitting there, just grinding out kills, because like in any game, the higher level you go, the more the distance of XP between each levels gets wider and wider and wider. And between level 20, about 23, then 24, and then 25 it takes hours to get to level up to those levels. It says a perk, but basically a perk is just like a type of playing style that you can equip to the character. It doesn't really mean like a Call of Duty perk, for example, where it just like gives you an ability. It's just like a play style where it gives you like, or you can play as like it is actually a better way of explaining it. It's a loadout. You can like load out like a soul, or load out like stealth, or load out like sniper, or like heavy, like with a rocket launcher, just for example, like those kind of loadouts. And it just basically play as that loadout and rank it up to level 25. Ooh. And it took ages to do, absolutely ages. I remember Claire helped me out actually on some of the levels. He helped me with a few of the bosses and such, because there was a few trophies it requires where there was a few like kind of like just this game is pretty much all online trophies. It's an online game. You can play a lot of it offline, but there's a good portion of it where you need to be online with people. And it was during PlayStation Plus, so it was at its peak. I think it actually launched on PlayStation Plus. I think it was one of them games where it came to the system on PlayStation Plus first, and then is available going forward. It's a good game. I really enjoyed it. I'm really not usually into these kind of zombie horde kind of survival wave type of games, but it was free on PlayStation Plus at the time, and it was pretty cool. And it was, the server was bristling with people playing it, and it's a grindy one. So I don't know if they've patched out that glitch exploit.
Yeah, they did patch the glitch, but there's another one though that you can use.
There were a few of them actually on different maps. People will always try and find ways around it, which is good. Which is good for us. Good for the
because exactly. Because the boss fight would have been almost impossible without that glitch.
Yeah, because you have to play it. You have to play like the levels on hard to get a decent XP drop from like the enemies. Because obviously the harder levels are, the bigger the XP rewards are. So having to play it on hard, like legit. That game is really hard on hard mode, going upwards. There's like hard, and there's like, I don't know, like insane or something. Oh no, hell on earth.
Hell on earth. Yep.
Yeah, you get hard, suicidal, and then hell on earth, and yeah, they are very hard to do. Like it's ridiculous. So with that exploit, it made it quite easy to do. Okay, so I'm going to read out a user one here now. Let me just grab the Tricky Trophies channel, and I'm going to read out one by Midnight Dragon DX. This one is from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan. Has 2 tricky online trophies, a gold, sorry not sorry, and a silver, next time take a cab. In the latter, you have to have Bebop and Rocksteady defeated by getting hit by a train in the second level. Rocksteady is the boss there, but Bebop isn't guaranteed to appear. Not only that, when he does, it's a lot harder to lure him onto the tracks. Rocksteady likes charging at you, but it's pretty easy to get him on the tracks. Bebop seems to be wise to what you are trying to do and avoids the tracks. However, you have to have 4 human players since the AI will probably screw it up. In the former, you have to perform a communication move where the boss is defeated. Dancing is the only one long enough. However, getting down the timing can be tough. At least you don't need 4 people for it. Did it with 3. Not sure if 2 is possible, but it isn't solo. So it seems here on this one, judging by the description, you having human players helps, because the AI, having the other turtles being controlled by AI, is obviously chucks in loads of variables. Because anyone who's played with AI partners before trying to do specific trophies, they are incredibly unreliable. So thanks for your submission, by the way, Midnight Dragon DX. Thank you for providing a tricky trophy.
Yeah.
All right, Vec, do you want to go next?
Oh yes. So my tricky trophy regards again with, let's go back to a time back on PS3 called GTA 5, because there's some trophies there that I personally have a gripe on, and I think this is one of them. It's called Close Shave. So Close Shave is basically go under the bridge and knife flight challenges in every single one of them. So in order to get like the 100% in the actual game, you don't actually have to do all of them. But if you're going to do the 100% on the trophy list, you have to do all of them.
Yes.
So when you start first playing the game, one of the things that you should do is basically max out your flight. And you can either use Trevor, which already has like a very decent like flight status, or you can move up the chain and use like level up each of the characters, like either Michael or Franklin, and you can just go to the actual flight school and do the actual things, and you should level up fairly quickly. I say this if you go the way I did and go Franklin in that actual thing and grind it out with the actual thing. Some of the actual tutorials actually lead to some of the actual like under the bridge segments, so you should that you can't keep track of afterwards, and I didn't know until like actually passed down through one of them, and I'm like, oh no, this is gonna be so frustrating later down the line. And it was. So under the bridge there's like 50 of them, and you have to like either use like a biplane or a helicopter to go under them. And the easier ones are like with a biplane on a big bridge that's fairly obvious, like on like the seaside. But the other ones that are very frustrating are the ones where you don't think that it is a bridge, but it actually is. Like the ones where uh, there's like a aqueducts that you use to go to the actual middle of Los Santos, and
Yeah, those ones are really tricky.
yeah.
I think I did most of them with a helicopter because you can obviously go slow
Mm-hmm.
through it, because with a plane you get one shot to line it up, otherwise it explodes when you hit the side. So with a helicopter, not saying a helicopter is like much easier, because if the rotors hit the side you can spin out of control and crash. But
Happened
a
to me
helicopter is
twice.
definitely yeah, a helicopter is definitely easier than going full speed with a plane. But yeah, as someone who's platinum GTA 5, I absolutely sympathize, and especially with the tracking of the bridges, because
Mm-hmm.
the game obviously does not tell you what bridges you've flown under. So
Nope.
and what I do for loads of open world games like this, where I need to go to certain places. I did it with, what's it called, Infamous. I did it with
Mm-hmm.
Prototype, and I did it with LA Noire as well. Is I get the world map on my iPad and I bring it up in Photoshop, and then I basically dot on the map what bridges I flew under, so I knew exactly what ones I did at the time, and then I just went around the map in sort of like clockwise or counterclockwise fashion, so I didn't miss any. That's the most efficient way I found of keeping track, is basically tick it off the map as you
Yeah.
go along.
Uh,
So, like you said, there's like 50 of them, so
yeah.
very easy to
Keep
do the
track
same
of.
one. Mm.
The other one was like the night flights, and the night flights are super easy. They just have to like get a biplane and do the animation. But some of them are pretty tricky. Like some of them require you to have like a awkward angle to actually maneuver into them. Like for example, there's some of them in the North Santos area in the city, right next to
Oh
the Vinewood.
yes,
Those are painful too because they're so awkward to actually go maneuver into, because they're so small. The things are so small.
there's
Unlike
one
the
where you basically
skyscrapers.
have to fly along kind of like a main street, isn't there? Like between two really
Yes.
big buildings. That I had a lot of trouble with them, because you have to approach the city from quite far away and then get
Mm-hmm.
the angle just right, and then obviously tilt the plane. Yeah,
Yes.
those are horrible. That they really pissed me off doing the last couple ones for
Oh,
sure, especially in the city.
I'm glad they just pick a select few and not like every single fucking building in the entire game. That would be so frustrating to actually go through. But I think like the actual like 75 of, I mean no, it means no, it's 65. Ah, God damn it. I know numbers, but the actual 65 of these of this trophy is super frustrating. But even still, if you're going to just for 100% in the actual game, it's not all of them. It's just half of them, but you have to do them anyway if you want the 100%. But
Mm,
yeah, that's my tricky trophy. So I'm going now to read an expert on the actual tricky trophies from B-Tips.
okay.
The trophy is a bronze trophy. It's called GD Parkour Instructor in Dying Light, which is completing all the parkour fever challenges at night. So he says, this trophy sucks. It requires you to do all 10 challenges for the parkour fever update at night. Staying alive at night isn't too difficult since you can just outrun the volatiles and cover yourself in zombie guts to loot them. The problem lies at the challenges themselves. The time for completing these are incredibly strict and require you to adjust your sensitivity to be able to turn a corner on a dime. You need perfect precision and memory to complete most of these, some of which are not difficult, but most of them you can easily take over an hour just for one challenge. The best thing to do is start a challenge as soon as it hits nighttime, so that you shouldn't be in the middle of a challenge when the sun comes up, thus failing you. That has to suck. Like doing a challenge and having it gone the day after is like, no. It should. I personally think it should count like the very beginning. If it's nighttime and you start nighttime, it should count for nighttime. But how the wording is it at night, completed at night. then you have a problem. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, sounds tricky indeed, or sounds time consuming at very least. Punish, what's your tricky trophy for this week?
All right, my tricky trophy for this week is called the Foxiest of the Hound. This comes from Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. To acquire this trophy, you have to get through the entire game without being detected. Yeah, it's a really. I've always been a fan of the Deus Ex series. Really fun games. The reason, in my opinion, and some people might disagree, is you obviously you have your stealth camo where you can go invisible and things like that, but the real reason, in my opinion, this trophy was hard to get is because the game is in first person, and compared to like Metal Gear and things like that, where you're in third person, you have like a 3-dimensional viewing of your area. This one is a little bit more difficult because you're constantly having to change angles and turn around and make sure that nobody sees you and things like that. Now, the good thing about this game is if you do get detected, you can start off from your previous save. But in my opinion, that's just a gigantic pain in the ass because, I want to get through the area. And I don't want to have to, especially if you're in areas where it takes you 20 to 30 minutes to get through and you get detected at the very last part. You have to restart that whole area again and go through it all over again. But definitely a fun game. I recommend it to everybody who hasn't played it, especially for the storyline. It was definitely interesting.
That was the first, not the first game, but the first recent game. Did you say Mankind Divided or Human Revolution?
Yeah, Human Evolution was the one on PS3. Mankind Divided was the one for PS4. So
I think there was Foxes of the Hounds. I'm pretty sure that was a trophy in the first one as well on PS3.
Yeah, it was on PS3 as well. Yep. In both games, you have to go. Now, in my opinion, for Human Evolution, the first one, it was a lot easier. In this one, the detection was a lot more sensitive, a lot more cameras. Like you had to crawl through so many freaking buildings. Yeah, like I said, the PS3 version, I think it was definitely a lot easier than the one here on the most recent one, but still a fun game.
It was I think it was one of the very few trophies I didn't get on the first one on PS3. I got almost pretty much every other trophy other than I think the no alerts and the no lethal kills as well.
Right.
But by the time I'd finished that game, I had my fill. And I was like, oh, I'm not gonna play again.
My first playthrough on the one on PS3, I did the no lethal kills. I didn't use anything except for the tranquilizer rifle and the tranquilizer pistol, and I saved everyone. And I didn't execute anybody except for the bosses because you have to kill the bosses. But I got through that, and then I started the second playthrough of using regular weapons and things like that. And by the time I got halfway through it, I had my fill of it, so I didn't get the platinum on the first one.
Yeah, the game is very long, and to do it like twice in like such a short amount of time, it's grueling to say the least. So, not that it's a bad game. It's a game you only really need to play sort of once. Really, once is enough. At least speaking from my point of view, I did like almost all of the side missions. So there's a lot of content there. So it's like playing like Horizon like back to back, like doing like a big game like that, Not that Deus Ex was open world, but it had just so much to do with so many side missions and so many like different methods for like completing objectives, And Punish, you've got a user tricky trophy to read out as well, haven't you?
Yes, I do. Now the user tricky from Mr. Goodry, and it is called Destroyer Demons, and this is from the Neo DLC. This one trophy will easily add another 100 hours or more to your playtime if you're looking to get it. And better yet, it's just a bronze because, of course, it fucking is. Wow. You need to beat all base game and DLC Pack 1 missions on New Game Plus Plus difficulty. To even stand a chance, you're going to need to loot from New Game Plus 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 Plus. And even then, that has a cap. So you simply need to get good when tackling super boss missions. It currently sits at 1%. Now, personally, I haven't played Neo. I've heard things of it from Shingo and a bunch of our other users here. But that does definitely sound like a difficult trophy. I mean, it sounds like it takes a long time too because you have to go into New Game Plus 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 Infinite Plus. There you go.
Yeah. Infinite Plus. Like, that's gonna be super pain in the ass. Like going through the actual DLC. Like, maybe base game is probably the trophy list is easier, but if you're like 100% nut, that's gonna be super difficult on the long run. It's gonna be oh my.
And exactly. I mean, I commend you, Goodreads. Awesome. I'm glad you got the trophy and everything. But I kind of sit with the zeal for certain games. Like I really have to love the game to go back for the DLC. Like Final Fantasy 15, they just announced that they're going to be doing 4 more episodes through 2019. I am excited about it because I really enjoy the story, and I can't wait to get more filler for the story. But a lot of these other games where it's like DLC, buy the season pass, get all this DLC for the next 2 years. Once I've enjoyed the game and I've platinumed it, I'm done with it. I've had my fill.
Absolutely. The thing I find with DLC trophies a lot of the time is that I understand, DLC is supposed to increase the longevity, the lifespan of a game. People come back to it after a few months, or some people like to just go into it straight away if they're playing like a GOTY edition or got the season pass. And I don't know, the game's long enough for like the little kind of, sometimes you get like the little DLCs that come out shortly after that just keep adding like little contents. But anyway, with DLC trophies, I often find that a lot of it is just filler. Like, they'll add like more collectibles in the game that don't actually do anything, or they'll add like pointless missions that it's just purely filler rather than actual like DLC that's like challenge rooms, for example. I don't consider that decent DLC. That's just taking the core mechanics of the game and just putting it in more rooms, basically. And so I would never get DLC like that where it's like like the challenge rooms or or whatever it is. And like map packs, really. Like I don't really do online anyway, but I find map packs to be a bit sort of pointless as well. But but that's me.
Yeah, for me at least, DLC is basically I agree with you guys. It's gonna be like if you like the game, here's more of it, but it's very draining after playing it like base game and immediately after. Like you can get serious burnout.
And here's the only thing that really kind of upsets me about DLC sometimes is that, especially when it comes to the big AAA developers, the big developers, I know they're trying to make more money off the game. I mean, God, making video games is 50,000 times more expensive than it was 20 years ago. I understand it's a business, and they're trying to get as much as they can from a certain IP, but like I'm going to use Square Enix as an example. Square Enix is working on a new Tomb Raider game. They're working on Kingdom Hearts. They're working on the Final Fantasy VII remaster, and they're also working on 2 brand new IPs that hasn't been announced yet. Yet they're focusing all their freaking time on episodes of Final Fantasy 15. It's like, all right, guys, seriously, you guys put out 4 episodes for all the main characters. You put out a multiplayer DLC. You put out a Royal Update DLC where added more content and more trophies. Instead of doing that shit, work on Final Fantasy VII, work on Kingdom Hearts, work on Tomb Raider, work on the IPs that people are asking for, instead of taking a game that was released a year ago and loading it up with more DLC over the next year.
But Punish, we need that cross promotion with Papa John's. Don't you get it? That's the whole That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
Is that I love Tomb Raider. I really do. I've been a huge fan of Tomb Raider. Do I want to see it in Final Fantasy 15? Not really. I really don't. Final Fantasy 15 is about mythic beasts and summoned monsters and things like that. Another one is about a hot girl raiding some tombs.
Just when Vic was talking about like promotions and stuff, that just reminds me, like every year when there's like Call of Duty out, you go into a shop, like a big sort of like outlet or whatever, and they always have like the Call of Duty, for example. I've seen it with Assassin's Creed as well, and a few other, and Destiny. You get like promotions on like energy drinks, you get promotions on like snacks and stuff like Doritos and whatnot. And you go into a store and you see like this big stand, and it's got like Call of Duty, and then you've got like energy drinks that give you extra XP on certain weekends, and you see like Doritos that have codes in it. And I'm just thinking, you guys are just perpetuating the stereotype of the fat, unhealthy gamer.
Yes, they are. I completely agree. It's like up your game, drink Mountain Dew.
Yeah,
really?
up your game, and fucking up your blood pressure as well.
But I mean, and you point that out. Here's that. People who haven't played Final Fantasy 15, there was so much blatant advertisement in this game. It was ridiculous. Now, this was the most money that Square Enix ever spent on making a video game, and you had cup of noodles trucks all over the game. No, I'm dead serious. You had a cup of noodles hat that you could wear for special art. And like literally, like you could unlock a special cup of noodles recipe, and one of the main characters in the game goes, "Cup of noodles carefully selects their ingredients from the most perfect ingredients to make this perfect tasting cup. You should eat one." It's like, well, god damn it! Now I want to go buy a cup of noodles.
Well, it worked on you then, didn't it?
Did you actually go out of the store and buy one?
No, I didn't. It's like 80% salt. Your blood pressure automatically skyrockets after eating a cup of noodles.
I don't know how. I mean, how good can like freeze-dried noodles actually be? I don't know. Anyway, now we start talking about freeze-dried noodles. I think it's time we round up the show. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. So I think we'll just do a sign-off and get it over and done. We'll get another one in the can. So, Vec, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at DVectronic. Where can people find you, Punish?
You guys can find me on Twitter, SSG Punish. You guys can also find me on Twitch as well at SSG Punish, where I do streams on my games.
Cool beans. And you guys can find me on Twitter at The Dazil. So, thank you for listening. As always, you can find our episodes on our YouTube channel, The Trophy Trust. Please support us there by subscribing for future episodes. You can also find updates on our Twitter at The Trophy Trust. There in the profile, you can find a link to our Discord, the PlayStation Trophy Hunter server, where you, if you haven't already, can join our ever-growing community of gamers and trophy hunters. If you enjoy our show, please consider supporting us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. We are strictly a non-profit podcast, however, serving hosted costs need to be paid to keep us on the air and keep our episodes available. This has been the Trophy Trust. Keep on hunting. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.